to Wembley.
We will keep this because we have to keep this mentality in championship also to win more games. And I think we are on the good way. We have to stay focused. Now we have another game Friday, so we have to rest to stay focused and to keep this mentality. Come on, bro.
He's got lots to say. It's an exciting occasion, but for you, Cole, finally, how much of an opportunity does this feel now to really do something special with Chelsea this season?
Yeah, we're not had the best of starts. Everyone knows that. There's no hiding it. But to go to Wembley, it's going to be a big day. Great opportunity to get a trophy, and yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Well done to the both of you tonight. It's been a great team performance. But if you wouldn't mind doing the honours, you are the player of the match, Cole. Well done.
Congratulations, Cole.
Thank you. Could have been you.
Thank you.
Yes, Kay. First of all, I'm very sorry about your almighty team, but yeah, Chelsea did what they had to do, but they didn't have to force themselves in a way, because as the guy explained, you know, Middlesbrough did the job for them. What is the biggest weakness of Chelsea nowadays? They can't create any chances. So why they appointed Mr. Michael Carrick to be the best coach ever for Chelsea Football Club? And I'm saying for Chelsea Football Club, because he did everything to help the players out to score goals. He allowed these players to think that as a championship team, they could play from behind, from the back, and have no problem. That's exactly what Chelsea was looking for, because they can't create chances. So Middlesbrough tries to play from the back instead of kicking very high and just wait, park the bus, and just wait for them to come and struggle. That it happened before the first goal. They couldn't score. They couldn't create anything except the Chilwell header. And yes, I think it was a penalty. But otherwise, it didn't create because Middlesbrough didn't give them anything. And I don't understand Michael Carrick. Really, he was an absolutely fantastic player. But what he showed today tells me that he has to improve his coaching career, because he exactly did what Pochettino was expecting from Middlesbrough. Playing nowadays football. Crazy.
I don't think there's too much more to say about this game.
Well, I mean, Chelsea, professional, as Rob will mention in commentary, some bigger tasks to come. Villa and Liverpool coming up. But they can do no more. They made hard, heavy weather of the first game at the Riverside. But why do these teams keep trying to do things that they struggle to do in their own league? And if there was only a blueprint for a team that did what Middlesbrough tried to do in the Championship and had success with it, Burnley, won the Championship, playing football at the back, have come to the Premier League, tried to do the same thing, guess where they are? They're in the relegation zone, because it is so much more difficult to try and do that against elite-level players. And even though Chelsea are struggling in the league, they still have very good players. And so you have to adjust your game. And even if you make a couple of mistakes, once you go 2-0 down, somebody has to say, right, let's not try and play out from the back. It's 2-1 in aggregate. One goal gets us back in. Let's squeeze up. Let's tuck the full-backs in. Let's play it long to our two strikers. Push the midfield up behind. This is not rocket science, by the way. Try and win some second balls in Chelsea's half, and let's play from there. No. Let's continue to try and do the things that have been killing us. And that's what made this tie almost unwatchable in the end. And that's what we feared when this tie came out. The two legs that... And we can be thankful that we even got to a second leg and we had some to go. What if Middlesbrough sit deep? But this was my fear from a neutral perspective, that it was going to be a mess, and tonight was a mess.
And to that point, and to Frank's, if you're Michael Carrick and Middlesbrough and you see the first leg, you see how Chelsea create all of their opportunities. You see where your opportunity comes from. How do you explain today's setup? Yes, listen, I understand you have injuries and you have to shuffle the pack, and so you decide to go to a back four. But why you decide to play a high line, no pressure on the ball, why you continue to try to pass the ball out to the back is beyond me. So it's a whole lot more than just making in-game adjustments because the wheels came off in the second leg. You saw the wheels wobbling in the first. and you do, and not only do you not address it, you double down on it. And for me, so Middlesbrough got exactly what they deserved with that in mind. Chelsea couldn't have had an easier day. I don't think semi-finals come any easier than the 90 minutes we just witnessed. Chelsea move on. There's still a test to come, rest assured. But Chelsea can be thankful for Middlesbrough. I'll call it naivety, and I'm being as kind as I possibly can.
Well, that's the point, isn't there, Naden? Pitch side tonight at Stamford Bridge. There are much tougher tests ahead for Chelsea now. In the FA Cup against Aston Villa, it's not going to be so easy for them.
No, you'd expect it to not be that case. I think even though Villa aren't exactly in the best moment right now, I think they do know how to play against Chelsea. I think they've won here already this season. So for Chelsea, they did what they needed to do today, and they understood there was going to be something there for them available if they went and pressed in a really organised manner. And I think some of the turnovers led to so many issues for Middlesbrough. And I think, you know, I heard you guys talk about, say, Burren playing out from the back. From what I saw with Carrick there, he wasn't telling them, you have to, you have to, you have to. I think sometimes this is one of those symptoms where players, they take on instruction, but then they're still expected to manage games, and they just didn't do that today at all. I thought they looked good at times, and they managed this well in the first leg, where they would move it, but they needed to have the threat in behind, and I think that's where, you know, the goal from Morgan Rogers came from, and I think yellow card as well against Thiago Silva. And if you're going to play, don't play just for the sake of it. And unfortunately, I think some of those players thought this is what we're going to do to show how good we are. But Chelsea, as the guys have said, they've got better players. They understand how to press better, and then an opportunity that can come there. But again, it's a big day for Chelsea, getting themselves to another final. You know, I think it's the second in 3 years, however long it is. But yeah, the game against Villa, that will be a tough test for them. But the players are feeling themselves, and as long as they're healthy, I think they'll believe that they can get the result.
Frank, while Naden was talking, there was something going on. We saw some strange faces being pulled by you.
No, because I was thinking about the fact that he said that the coach didn't want them to play like that, Middlesbrough. I think he should have forbid them to play like that. That's his role. He should have a plan. He said, guys, I forbid you to play from the back. You're gonna be smashed back. I think we all agree. We are 4 pundits, 4 former players. We all agree that it was the worst to do. And that's why I don't understand. I was teasing a little bit Michael Carrick, because it was obvious during the first tie that Chelsea couldn't create anything unless you give them the opportunity to do so. And so if he's not saying, oh, you shouldn't do too much of that, he should have said, I forbid you to do that. Kick a long ball, play higher, you know, give pressure. That's exactly what you have to do, and what you have a chance to be successful about.
All right, Chelsea won this, though.
Yeah, I think, look, the probability is Chelsea would have won this game anyway. But I think what we're trying to say is it might have been a contest. It might have been somewhat of a contest, which in the end, well, once it got close to half-time, it wasn't a contest at all.
Chelsea doing better at home recently, though. Obviously, you can take this game and say it's against lower opposition, but this is just their recent run of results at home. Which,
well, but I look, I'm not
by their own standards,
I've not been funny. Right? Let's just take the last 5 or 6. Right, Sheffield United relegation cannon fodder. Newcastle, the Trippier mistake at the end dug them out. They won on penalties. Crystal Palace heading towards the relegation zone, talking about Roy Hodgson's job. And then you got Preston North End in the Championship, Fulham, West London derby, decent side, and Borough. So it's a bit like, in some sense, when Manchester United were having this patch, and I don't know how I've got Man United into this segment again, but because they're two of the clubs that are spending a lot and are struggling. But when Man United had this period and Ten Hag's getting a lot of stick, and people were saying, yeah, but look at these results, got 5 wins in a row or 4 wins in a draw or whatever it is. But when you peeled it back and looked at who they'd been playing, the opposition was weak and they'd struggled. And that opposition there recently is pretty weak, but you can only beat what's in front of you. There's a big acid test coming up. FA Cup on Friday, which we have live, against Villa, and then Liverpool. And that's where you're going to learn. You're not going to learn about your players walloping Borough by 6 goals at home when they're making mistakes. You're just not. You're not really going to learn a lot there. All you're going to do is get people sharpness and fitness like Chilwell, get them back into the side, get them a run of games because they've struggled in the full-back stroke wing-back positions. That's the kind of things you can take out from it. You can't really take much else from a side that basically lie down like Borough did. So there's some huge games to come. But this is a day that when Pochettino woke up, he went, please no, please, just please don't let this go wrong.
Let's stay there, though, talking about Chilwell coming back and talking about their 11 today. Is this an 11 that he sticks with for these upcoming games?
Well, I don't trust Modric at all. I think I think what he does a lot of times, it's a head scratcher. He wants to do everything at 100 miles an hour, so I don't really trust that. Obviously, you know, Sterling and Cole Palmer are pretty much one of the first names on the team sheet. Chilwell, obviously. So, and then it's whether Conor Gallagher comes back in. He was on the bench today, or whether he sticks with what he's got. I would imagine he might stick with what he's got. So I don't know about you, Shaq. I'm okay with the goalkeeper, even if Sanchez is. I like this goalkeeper. And I'm not biased because he was coached by my old teammate and best man Kevin Hitchcock, who said, by the way, this guy is going to be really good and he looks good. I think there's 7 or 8, maybe 7 you could hang your hat on and say that's who he's going to select. And there's 3 or 4 other positions, at least. Striker, one of the wide positions, maybe midfield, and then one of the full-back positions. So it's still not a guarantee.
I think he sticks with this 11. And
do you like Modric against even?
Well, I think Modric at least gives you some pace. You know, the thing for me is you look at Chelsea and even when you swap personnel, you don't get much of a change. You don't get much of a change in terms of performance. You know, we could debate who should be the striker, whether it's Bro or anybody else. They need to bring somebody in. And that, for me, is a travesty of who Chelsea are right now. We keep talking about the money that they spend, but even as you change players in and out, it doesn't change the performance. It doesn't really change how good they look, aside from Gallagher, who they're trying actively to sell this January. So, to your question, yeah, I'd play the same 11. At least they got to win. At least this team is now playing with some confidence. Don't change that just yet. I think it's a very fragile confidence. It's a very fragile run, but stick with it because at least it's bringing some results.
But you've spent all this money, right? And Breuer might go before the transfer window closes if they get the right money, possibly. And it's unlikely they bring somebody in and at that late notice, but they might. But they've got this team coming up called Liverpool, who are without Mo Salah for African Cup of Nations and now injury. But yet you look at the 4 players, call them 4 players that can rotate. Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, Darwin Núñez, Diego Jota, right? Not perfect, but pretty good. Then you look at Chelsea and you go, oh, spent that, but look, who are we going to play there? And who's going to get the goals there? And who's going to play up front? So there's the difference. Liverpool at least have 3 or 4 pretty good options, even if you say, oh, Núñez, you know, if he's not scoring goals, he's running the channels. If he's not running the channels, he's fighting with centre-halves. It's not just about goals with him. If you get goals from Núñez, it's a bonus. But when I look at Chelsea's options in that front 3 or 4, whatever you want to call it, it's nowhere near as good as what Liverpool have.
It's almost a little bit, you know, to the point I'm making, comical that Modric, all you can say is, yeah, he runs really fast. You know, that's kind of Chelsea's options right now, and you're scratching your head to identify what players bring.
Is it enough for what's ahead, Naden?
I think, you know, if we're going to compare them to Liverpool's front line, obviously with Salah to come back in as well, then I think most sides up and down the league would struggle with that level of sort of goal scoring and contribution. But I think for the way that they played, I've got to say, Modric today, he was getting a lot of grief from his manager and a lot of grief as well from Enzo Fernandez on the field. He was kept barking instructions at him because every time someone's moving one way, he was supposed to be going the other, and he was doing the exact opposite. And there were so many little transitions where he'd get the ball and just turn it over with like a little stupid decision. And you can see the manager was losing more and more faith in him. And I don't know if that was affecting his confidence or whatever, but for me, I don't think he's...
Yes, today we were very clinical, I think, in front of the goal, and we missed the game, the first leg. We were very disappointed because I seen we didn't get the result that we deserve on Middlesbrough. Today I think we were really good and we were clinical in the last third, and I think that is why the difference.
Cole Palmer won Player of the Match today. He is so versatile for you. I mean, you use him in so many different ways.
Yes, he's a player with an amazing talent, and I think he's a player that understands the game. He has the quality and the talent to see the situation, analyze the situation, to read the game in all the aspects. And I think he's a player that is so versatile, can play from the right, can play from like a striker or in behind the striker. I think he's very dynamic. We try to give, to some freedom for him to move and because it's this type of game that he can, in every single situation, he can find the best position to help the team of course, in possession. And then, for me, one of the most characteristic and most important is when we don't have the ball in the way that he presses with the aggressivity and how he's capable to the intuition, sometimes to get some ball back. And I think he's a very talented player, still young, but I think he's doing fantastic for us.
Mauricio, you mentioned there that you've got a lot of players that are young. You've got yourself to a final, but what would winning do to this group and to you as the project as well, leading that?
But I think it's really important because sometimes we cannot split, the history of Chelsea. The amazing player is sitting there, and now when you see the team, of course we are young and we need to grow. And this type of games, semi-final, even if you play against Middlesbrough, because always it's difficult, is a good experience for our young player, and of course it's about to grow. It's going to help us to get the experience that we need to compete in our best. And of course, step by step, we are building a very good team. The mentality is very good. We have the talent, but only we need time to put all in place and start to perform in the best way. And then I think the performance from the beginning of the season after 6 months, I never was disappointed with the performance. I think we were disappointed because we were not clinical in front of the goal. But I think about the attitude, about performance, the team is doing well. And then today is our 9th game that unbeaten, and it's really important. I think you put some data, before the game that I saw from my manager room that, how improve from last season. I think the team, that is all the serve, all the credit, all the play, but at the same time, it's a new project. We building a team. Sometimes it's normal to play worse than we were, playing, but we are playing well, but sometimes we didn't win. That is why we drop a little bit in our confidence. But now I think that is going to be a big boost for us. It's true that we don't have too many time to prepare the game against Friday against Aston Villa. Aston Villa is preparing the game against us, and we are shortly about that. With many circumstances, again, too many issues, I think we are doing fantastic. I cannot complain. Only the people need to believe, need to trust in us. And of course, now going to the final, why not? The possibility to win the first title of the season.
Mauricio, Ben Chilwell lasted until the 65th minute. So how good was it to have him back? And how did he pull up after the 65 minutes? No,
I think it's really good because he's one of our captain, the quality. But the same, we have Chile, and it was difficult to use him, during the whole season, in 6 months and a half or 7 months. And now we need to manage because more than 60, 65 minutes is difficult to cope him with the demand of the game. That is why now we need another period for him to try, to arrive in his best form that can cope with 90 minutes. But I think we know what we are doing. He's very good, and I think today add to the team the experience and the quality. I'm so happy to recover this type of player because we are going to get the benefit.
Mauricio, congratulations getting to the final, scoring 6-0. The game you played today, the team is improving step by step. But how frustrated is it that you get a goal against and not keeping a clean sheet?
I was really upset. Because I think we need to learn from that. I think we need to play seriously until to the end. But it's true, and you know very well because you were there inside to the pitch. But sometimes, yes, it looks like you won after 6-0 that they finish the game. And sometimes you can make some mistake because you lose a little bit the focus. But and in this case, for me, I am disappointed. I think we are all disappointed because concede a goal always is not good. But because we are a team that we need to use every single second in try to improve, and we cannot miss this type of action that we are building. You know, when we start to build and with the space and the capacity that we have, we need to be more focused. Very disappointed, Jimmy. Yes. Didn't kill my happiness, but I think I was a little bit disappointed when I finished the game.
Can you now sit back and relax and watch tomorrow night?
Sorry?
Can you now sit back and relax and watch the other semi-final tomorrow night? Not bothered about who you face?
Yes, of course. Now, not too much relaxed because tomorrow, I think, like always, 6 o'clock, we are leaving to the training ground, on the training ground, working, and of course preparing the Friday, the FA Cup. That is going to be important for us also because it's another competition that we want to be, and another chance to go through. We need to prepare the game. Friday is soon, and no time to be relaxed.
Well, if you have to be at the training ground for 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, we'll let you go, Maurizio.
6:30.
6:30. Oh, well, that half an hour makes all the difference. Thank you, Maurizio.
You're
Take
welcome.
care.
Bye,
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Big for him, isn't it? I thought that the answer, you know, he can be saying for 6 months, trust the process, and this is the direction we're going in. But every step of that way, you've got to have some milestones to keep people believing.
Yeah, and also Chelsea, you know, we can't ignore the history of what the fans have been used to. So to say believe in it, you know, that is difficult. But you know, he gave us a lot of time there, and he was very honest about that, and he's happy. And you know, they are in a cup final now, and they play Aston Villa, as he said, in the FA Cup. But you know, as long as he's happy with the project they're building, and I'm sure he'll be nudging Mr. Bowley as well, saying, look, even though we've spent a lot, I still want certain experienced players, that number 9 role. And that will make a massive difference. But on today's performance, he's happy, and you have to agree as well.
You know how managers think, don't you? I say honestly, Joy in a final scored 6 goals, and you went with the one they conceded.
Yeah, because
and a striker.
And a striker. But having my manager's hat on, it is important to keep a clean sheet. You know, I bet you that the goalkeeper is going to be very, very angry that he got a goal against. But not a lot of games you're going to be 6-0 up. Yeah. There might be a game that you're 1-0 up, you know? And it has to become a habit that you keep clean sheets. And that's why I asked that question. And if it breeds to your team, clean sheets, you're going to be successful. You know, so that's why my question.
Do you think as well that just by giving themselves a chance of winning this trophy, that infuses greater belief around the club in the project?
Yes, I think that's key. That you got to have along the way little steps of progression. You've got to be able to. It's got to be visible. It's got to be viable, and this is one of them. Making it to a cup final, showing the supporters, also within that dressing room, creating more belief and saying, look, you keep doing what we're instructing, still believing in the process, there are potential rewards at the end of it. And the reward is now they've got a trip to Wembley. And they went out there tonight and did a job. And we all sit back and go, look, Chelsea should have done it and should be in the final. Middlesbrough put up a really good fight. And I'll go back to what Jimmy said earlier on, was that what Middlesbrough did was remarkable to get to a semi-final of the League Cup. They're up against it. Things didn't go well tonight, but they will go away with their heads held very, very high. But for Chelsea, now it's about that next step again.
And does that involve trying to bring a player in the transfer window?
I've said not to bring a player in. I've said calm it down. You know, a lot has happened in the last 18 months. Look, I don't know Mauricio's plans, if he needs a player or if he wants a player. But looking from outside in, a lot has happened over the last 18 months. A lot of movement, a lot of changes. So why I'm saying don't bring nobody in, just calm it down, work with what you have. They are in a final, great opportunity. If they can win that, they're in Europe. Yeah? Okay, the Premier League has not really gone as well as they wanted, but it's a work in progress. If they can win the cup, get into Europe, it's been a good season.
But they're only 4 points off sixth at the moment. So far the Premier League hasn't gone to plan.
Yeah.
But there's still time. There's still time for this team to grow, right? So that process, like even previously, like Jose Mourinho, when he was manager of this club, he talked about that first trophy, wherever he's been in England. That first trophy, winning the League Cup was so important because it created a momentum, it created belief within the squad. And that could have the effect on a team like Chelsea. Going into the cup final, winning the cup final, that could be the springboard that they desperately need to catapult them towards a European place.
We have 6 Chelsea goals to go through. Let's start with the first one, which seems a very long time ago now, and ended up being a Johnny Howson own goal.
Yeah, it did, and we see Chilwell back in the starting 11, which was pleasing, and he had a massive part to play in this early goal. And see, they're just jinxing through, but it's this pass there, it's cutting through, nice outside of the way, and then Sterling is obviously looking for Bro here, but unfortunately for Middlesbrough, it's Howson own goal. But again, there was pulling them apart. There's a back 4. At times it was a back 5, which we've spoken about, but the distances are that big and an overload on that right-hand side was just about the quality. And that pass there was the big difference, and that was what started this goal. But you can see how pulled apart Middlesbrough are, and Chelsea then capitalised on it. It was never going to result in anything less than that goal then.
Gary Neville spoke pretty much, didn't he? He talked about getting into a stage of his career, Jimmy, where once he started having a calf problem, it kept recurring because of his age and where he was at, and worrying about it. It's going to be, they've got to be very careful with Ben Chilwell, haven't they, now?
Yeah, but then on the other hand, you want him to play.
Yeah.
But today was his first game. He was always going to play 60, 65 minutes. He ended up playing 55. But he was never going to play 90 minutes because they can't just afford him to break down. He's that important. And now they're going to build him up mentally as well, physically, and keep him fit until the end of the season.
As well, Jimmy, it was a good game for him as well because he wasn't really tested defensively. It was a total control by Chelsea. It was just a case of actually it was a good game to get him those minutes actually. So I think Pochettino will be happy with that.
Left side of, we'll look at both flanks when it comes to Chelsea, but the left side and Chilwell and Fernandes trying to get into those little holes and causing Middlesbrough problems. And when we look at the Enzo Fernandez goal, Johnny Howson had tried to man-mark him during the game, and Fernandes lost him for this, Mark.
Yeah, they were very lopsided in some degree, Chelsea. Everything went down the right-hand side. Mudryk would come in a lot, never really outside. But Enzo makes that late run into the box. You can see how he delays his run. He checks his run as he reaches into the box. He sees that the near post is fully loaded with players. And of course, then he makes that run, gambles, and gets a bit fortunate with his run. But you have to be in the right place at the right time, and he happens to be that.
Yeah, I think he does that very smart. He goes to the penalty spot first, and then he checks himself to go back. And Frank Lampard used to do that really well, late runs into the box and finding where that ball is going. You don't teach somebody that. You have that feeling, and I think that's what he did, and then it becomes an easy finish.
I think he just makes that run. He doesn't have to make a check. He has to make the check, but he's not trying to lose the defender, because you can see Howson's actually watching the ball. There's no one there around him, so he doesn't do it to lose anyone. He just does it because he realises there's an overload of that near post.
He checks to make the space for him bigger, to make the goal bigger, if you understand what I mean. So he's harder, he's got more space to get that ball. If he keeps on running, then he is closer to the defender, and when that ball comes there, he can block it. But now he pulls himself away. He's got a lot more time, and it's just harder for the goalkeeper to save it.
What do you all think is his best role for Chelsea in this midfield, or rather, how are they going to get the best out of him?
I don't think he's a holding midfielder. No. I think this is when he's able to get on the ball and then break forwards and be that attacking midfielder. I think he's got all elements of it, but I think when he's able to break free, that's when he's at his best. But I still think the manager's trying to get the best out of him. I still think he's settling. I spoke to Pochettino actually at the start of the season, and he clearly had a real big liking towards Enzo Fernandez and this big expectation of him. Of course, they've paid a heavy price tag. He's a World Cup winner. But equally, he's a young player that's come onto the scene, you know, really blew up, really. And the expectations are really high for him, as well as that price tag. But he's still got a lot more to give, and I think the manager is trying to get that out of him.
I agree with you. I don't think that he's a 6. When I saw him playing his best football was in the World Cup, obviously, where he was playing very close to Messi. He's not a bad player to very close to, but he was exceptional, you know. And I think he needs to have that kind of freedom where he can attack spaces and create and find that last pass and run into the box. At times, try to give the final ball too much, you know, and he ends up losing the ball. But I do think that he is more like an 8, an attacking 8 than a 10, and agreeing with Gary.
I think also when you look at that first half in particular, when he was slightly on the left-hand side of midfield and he was up with Mudryk. And Mudryk was always coming in and coming into the space. You could see him throughout that first half telling Mudryk to get out wide, get out in behind. He just didn't do it. He kept coming in. I think
he was
once,
getting frustrated, actually.
Very frustrated with him. And I think it was only once that Mudryk actually stayed out wide. And he played in the pass in behind. He managed to get around for pace. And Middlesbrough managed to just last second defend. So second half was better because he had Sterling on that side. There was a better understanding. Sterling gave him more space as well and an option on the ball all the time.
There are a few Chelsea players, actually, aren't there, where you could go, well, how are they going to get the best out of this player? Disasi's another one, actually. Are you playing him as a right-back? Are you playing him as a centre-half? Can he do both for you?
He can do both, but I actually like him as a right-back. Here he wins the ball and he kept on running forward. And don't get me wrong, this is not an easy finish. Yeah, it comes across your body. He's very aggressive. He's intercepting the ball. And he knows he doesn't need to give another pass. He just keeps on running. Great ball for Sterling, that has to be said as well, and a really good finish. I do like him as a right back. He's decent on the ball. He's athletic, and he can score a goal.
I kind of hope that combination of him, Sterling, and Cole Palmer naturally gravitating keeps building. You know, football is about building relationships and getting that cohesion. And actually, that was a really positive tonight. A lot of the attacking play, in particular the first half, was down that right-hand side. And obviously it chopped because of the changes. But I hope they continue to use that and build on it, because I think that's a real weapon. And, you know, it was really pleasing to see that.
I think the balance was definitely better in the second half. You're right. Madueke coming on the right-hand side, Sterling on the left-hand side. It was definitely a more fluid sort of combination of players. First half, like we said, was all 4 goals came down the right-hand side.
When we were at the Riverside for the first leg, Middlesbrough did their best to give Cole Palmer a goal there. He didn't take those. They did exactly the same tonight, Mark.
They did, yeah. I mean, it's frustrating because they had possession and they had it easily. They were comfortable, and it's just that one extra pass, you know, not needing to play it back again. And you can see there, Bellacer just, he's unaware, he wasn't expecting it, doesn't know his surroundings and gets caught, and it's disappointing. And that was what I think the biggest disappointment would be for Michael Carrick, is that a lot of the goals were self-inflicted. They didn't really give themselves a chance today to really make it difficult for Chelsea and say, well, go on, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to do something special. You're going to have to really work for it. At times, they gave it too easily to Chelsea.
Are we now at a stage where it's not even worth debating whether you should play out from the back or not, because everybody is doing?
You can't ask me that tonight until.
Well, no. But virtually every game we watch, whether that's Premier League or EFL or a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup, we're going to find situations like this. So are we beyond even debating it because every head coach seems to think it's the right way to go?
I think it's so difficult, especially on tonight's game when you're one game away from a cup final and you're thinking, as a manager, do I kind of go away from my beliefs and what my philosophy is to play out, because that's the way I believe as a player I played it, perhaps Michael Carrick, and that's how I want my team to play. But then you look at the team, you're thinking, well, when we were weak in the first leg, it was because of that. Do we change that and give ourselves a really good chance? So look, that's more of a question Michael Carrick will have to answer, and as a young manager thinking, do I compromise maybe my beliefs at times and try and get myself to a final and play more direct or not play out from the back? But I'm more of a person that would like to stick to my principles, but it's really easy sat here and you're up against £1 billion team.
Yeah, If you were a head coach, now, would you feel pressured by how the game is being played virtually everywhere to follow suit?
I don't think that every team does it. Majority does it, but I would try it. It depends what kind of players I have, and if I've got the players to be able to do it, then I would do it. But then still, they have to identify when they have to go long. You know, sometimes you're sucking players in for them to pressure you, and then the space is behind there. And that sometimes, that long ball is not being played because it's not fashion enough, but it's effective. And I think you have to identify that when you need to play that long ball and get behind teams and go and punish teams. It's all nice and well to keep on playing in front of teams. Eventually, it's going to go wrong if you're not Man City. You know what I'm saying? And even Man City goes long at times. You know, so I think it's all about decision making and about identifying when you can play from the back and when not.
This is the scene here at the Riverside Stadium. I'm Derek Ray, joined by Lee Dixon in the commentary position. And every expectation that this will be a captivating contest. It's Middlesbrough taking on Chelsea.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. Looking forward to a bright, lively start in this one. Quick tempo. Who can be the dominant force in the first 20 minutes? They could get the upper hand in this one.
Thiago Silva's block. Paddy McNair. And smart defending. Jorginho. Now Conte. I think most defenders would expect to be booked halting an attack in that fashion. So early in this game, and the referee not really hesitating. A yellow card it is, and that could make it difficult for player and official. The crossbar got in the way. And at the second time of asking, it's a goal. The keeper, meanwhile, looks to the heavens.
Oh, Derek, it's a blooper. Really poor from the keeper. He won't want to see this again. It's a fumble, you have to say, and he's punished.
So Borough get things restarted. Disappointed to have conceded. Will they be able to square the game? Paddy McNair. Now Yannick Bolasie. Now Saville. Dangerous looking attack. He's in here. And a goal! An end-to-end game. And they weren't behind for long.
Well, here it is. A striker's bread and butter. Simple finish, but it's the positioning that gets him the goal.
Slightly different vantage point in terms of the goal that was scored. Danger. Beautifully disguised ball. Big opportunity. And there is the goal! He's found the net. Joy unconfined.
Well, as we see again here, the damage is started with a beauty of a through ball, and then he almost mishits it, to be honest. You just wonder if that deceived the keeper a little bit. But either way, I'm sure he won't care about that.